Yeah, welcome to the chat on the daily market outlook. As we know, we always try to ride on the coattail of the market makers, the market movers, the money makers. So we look out for liquidity and trap zones. These are zones that offer the best opportunities in price. They are zones that offer the highest return on risk and offer the lowest risk on investment. So right here, as you can see on USD CHF for today, at the low of the day, the close of the Asian session, we have a bullish candle. Nevertheless, for those who are new, let us take less than a minute to explain candlestick patterns so they know what we have right here in front of us, what they mean. As you can see, price rallying up, creating series of lower highs and higher highs and a cluster of green candles. These green candles signal buying pressure. While as you can see, price rallying down, creating an accumulation, a range with a cluster of white candles. These white candles signify selling pressure, while a candle that is neither green nor white like this candle signifies indecision. So why do we look out for zones that offer the best opportunities, zones that offer the highest risk to reward? The reason being is the fact that forex trading is just like business, and you always want to be involved in deals that offer the highest return on your investment. Likewise, every investment is associated with risk, and managing this risk, you want to get in at zones that are going to offer the most minimal risk on investment. So we always look out for liquidity and trap zones, otherwise known as support and resistance, otherwise known as the demand and supply zones. These names are used interchangeably. However, at the low, we want to see a bearish trend. We want to see a sell candle. At the top, at the high, we want to see a bullish trend. We want to see a bullish candle. We want to see a buy candle. The reason being is when the market is in an uptrend and we have a buy candle at the top, then it signals that the sellers are in danger. Likewise, when the market is in a downtrend and we have a bearish candle, a sell candle at the low, it signals that the bulls, the buyers are in danger. And what happens? Liquidity zones are the support and resistance. At the support, which is the low, and the resistance, which is the high, we have the most aggressive buyers at the support, the low. At the high at the top, we have the most aggressive sellers. And these zones, they can be located in the daily highs and lows, weekly highs and lows. This is the daily high, this is the daily low, weekly highs and lows, monthly highs and lows, quarterly highs and lows, yearly highs and lows as follows. So for the sake of clarity, we are going to be focusing on the 4-hour chart. However, we are looking out on the daily high and low, but in my opinion, I prefer the 4-hour chart as it gives me clarity, because 6 candles make up a day, which are 4 hours divided into 6. So 6 times 4, you have 24 hours. So it is easier to monitor, it is easier to track, and very difficult for the market makers to manipulate. So at the low of USD we can see a bullish candle which invalidates what we are looking out for, so we ignore this pair. That is the beauty of the market mechanics. That is the beauty of the strategy we use to analyze the chart. We know what to pay attention to and we know what to give our attention to. And we need to know that in forex trading, there is no such thing as a perfect analysis. For every analysis is nothing but a perspective of the operator analyzing the chart. And we can see USD we have a similar pattern to USD where we can see a bullish candle at the low of the day, at the close of the Asian range. So we also do well to ignore this pair. Nevertheless, mind you, on USD right here, back to reiterate what we are looking out for, we have a sell side liquidity here. We need to keep a concept in mind that the market sells to buy and the market buys to sell. Why does the market do this? The market does this because the market moves in tandem with liquidity. For every buyer that makes money, there is a seller that loses money. Likewise, for every seller that makes money, there is a buyer that makes money. So the market is a zero-sum game. So right here, we can see that at the open of the Asian session, we have sellers right here, and here we have buyers. So what we expect a buy candle that breaks the high of the day. That's what we expect. And we are seeing that in insights. On USD JPY, we also expect a buy candle that breaks the high of the day and does not close below this low. On USD CHF, we also expect this candle not to close below this low and it needs to break the high of the day. On Euro USD, Currently, at the eye of the day, we can see sellers here, so we are going to absolutely ignore this pair. On AUD USD, on the 4 hour, we can see buyers at the eye of the day. However, this is an impulsive buy candle, so for the sellers to close in on this gap, they need to break down with this candle forming. They need to break down. It's not more than one or two candles, break the structure and break the low of the day for us to conclude that the Australian dollar will weaken against the US dollar. On the GBP USD, we can see buyers at the eye of the day, and right here we can see this candle grabbing liquidity, inducing more buyers to take position. However, if we are going to take this as a counter trend, as a reversal trend, we need this to break this structure and close as a bearish candle, not more than one or two candles. Follow all these rules accordingly, and if any rules are not met, then we absolutely ignore whatever we are anticipating. On AUD JPY, at the eye of the day, we can see a bullish candle, and we can see this candle accumulating contract, manipulating buyers to take position, and this is trying to close as a bearish candle. So we need it to break this structure, break the low of the day, then we can conclude that the Aussie will weaken against the Japanese yen. On NZD USD, we can see a similar pattern to AUD USD. At the eye of the day, this bullish candle is very impulsive, so we need a very strong move from the sellers. One or two candles break the structure and break the low of the day, then we can conclude that the New Zealand dollar will weaken against the US dollar. On Euro JPY, we can see in insight, we can already see an AMD playing out. Here we have the sell side liquidity. We can see the buyers inducing sellers to take position, and this candle is trying to close as a bullish candle, which has already closed. So we need another bullish candle that breaks the eye of the day, then we can conclude that the euro will strengthen against the Japanese yen. On USD card, we can see a sell side liquidity at the low of the day, so we expect this to close as a bullish candle, as we already have the low of the day being raided. And if all rules are met, the eye of the day is broken, then we can expect the US dollar to strengthen against the Canadian dollar. On gold, we can see at the low of the day we have a sell candle, so we expect this low to be raided to induce more sellers, and for this to push up later, close as a bullish candle, break the eye of the day with not more than one or two candles. So you need to keep all rules in mind. So right here we can see on silver we have this resistance here. Nevertheless, this is a weak resistance, so later in the day in my opinion, I expect this resistance to be broken, as it is unlikely to hold. On GJ, here we can see a sell side liquidity. We can see a manipulation of sellers, and this going as a buy candle, so expect this present candle to close as a buy candle and break the eye of the day, then we can conclude that the Great Britain pound will strengthen against the Japanese yen. Right here on USD CNH, we can see a sell side liquidity for a buy, so we expect this low to be rated to accumulate more sell orders, and this to go up, break this structure, and close as a bullish candle. On BTC USD, what do we have? We can see a buy side liquidity. However, for this to be a counter trend, we expect this high to be rated to induce more buyers, and this to close down as a sell candle, break this structure, break the low of the day, then we can conclude that the BTC will weaken against the US dollar. On DXY, at the low of the day, we have a bullish candle, so we are going to ignore this pair. To recap all we have said, on USD CHF, if this present candle closes as a bullish candle, breaking the eye of the day, then we expect the US dollar to strengthen against the Swiss franc. On USD JPY, if this present candle forming presently closes as a bullish candle, breaks the eye of the day and moves up, then we expect the US dollar to strengthen against the Japanese yen. On Euro USD, we ignore this pair as rules to anticipate a counter trend are not met. On AUD USD, we expect the sellers to make a very impulsive move to break the Asian session first half, break the low of the day and move down with not more than one or two candles. On GBP USD, we expect this present candle to close as a bearish candle, break the structure at the second half of the Asian session and break the low of the day. On AUD JPY, we expect this to close as a bearish candle, a strong impulsive move that breaks the low of the day, then we can conclude that the Aussie will weaken against the Japanese yen. On NZD USD, we expect this candle to make an impulsive move from the sellers, break the low of the day, then we can conclude that the New Zealand dollar will weaken further against the US dollar. On Euro JPY, we expect the high of the day to be broken by this present candle and the low of the day to be preserved However, if the law of the day is not preserved, then we invalidate this pair. On USD card, we expect this present candle to close as a bullish candle and break the high of the day. On gold, we expect a bullish candle that raises the low of the day and breaks the high of the day. On silver, we expect the high of the day to be broken as we have a weak resistance there. On GJ, we expect this candle to close as a bullish candle, break the high and break the high of the day. On USD we expect the low of the day to be raided and the high of the day to later be broken by a bullish candle, not more than one or two. On BTC USD, we expect a buy side liquidity for a sell. On DXY, we expect nothing as this does not miss rules. Win today, win forever. As always, plan your trade, trade your plan, and most importantly, manage your risk and emotions. As always, if you find this useful, like, share, subscribe, and follow for more. Nevertheless, fundamentally, today is a Friday. It is not a good day to trade as today is the market makers accumulation phase. Nevertheless, if you must trade, trade with caution and always manage your risk.